Hi team, this is Wellness 52, Sergeant DeRosa here with the Airman and Family Readiness Center on base. This is part 3 in our series of topics related to Fit to Fight. If you recall, the first topic was physical fitness, then we discussed nutrition, which was the second topic, and today's topic is the third in our series. It's called rest and recovery, which are two things that are very important, just not more important than actually taking part in physical exercise and monitoring your nutrition. Today, we are going to talk about the differences between rest and recovery. What are some of the benefits? How do you monitor and measure your rest and recovery? What are overtraining symptoms and solutions? Recovery tools, sleep tips, and nutrition as it relates to recovery. What is the difference between rest and recovery? Rest is defined as being more passive in nature. It's inactivity. It's no physical exercise. It's limiting your physical movements. It's relaxing, perhaps meditating, and of course, sleeping. Recovery, on the other hand, is more active in nature. It's returning to a better state. It's being proactive in the activities you're doing to help your body rebound and recover from physical exercise, which, as we discussed last time, physical exercise is basically you're breaking down your muscles so that they can repair and rebuild themselves and come back stronger. So it's light activity, it's cross-training, stretching, applying heat, ice, or compression, massaging your muscles. The purpose is to rebuild, refuel, and rehydrate your body. Why is it important? There are many physiological benefits. Your muscles are repairing themselves, they're rebuilding, they're getting stronger during rest and recovery. You're replenishing your glycogen, which is the energy stores in your body. If you remember during the nutrition presentation, we talked about how when you ingest food, and specifically carbohydrates, it gets broken down into glucose, and insulin basically releases that glucose into your muscles to be used for energy immediately, or the glucose gets stored in your liver for future use as glycogen. It also gives your nervous system a break. When you're exercising, it really requires intense coordination between your brain and the physical muscles in your body. It's important to give your nervous system a break as well. Psychological benefits. It's important, of course, to balance your home life, your work life, through your civilian job, your military job, and your fitness goals. There should be a proper and adequate balance. If one of those things gets out of line, then it's going to impact the other areas of your life. It's going to cause stress and anxiety, which is not good for your overall well-being. Other psychological benefits: improves your clarity, determination, and focus. A lot of times when we're constantly exercising, it could lead down the road to burnout, which is not good for our health, for our mental state. So it's important to take a break every once in a while. Supercompensation theory, we don't have to get into this too much. Basically, it's a theory that says after you train, your performance is going to temporarily decline due to the fatigue in your body. But then as you recover, you're going to bounce back stronger, your performance will improve during a phase known as supercompensation. However, it's important to maintain just the right amount of exercise. You don't want to exercise too much or it'll lead to overtraining, or too little, which you may be undertraining. You won't really see any progress if you're training too little. So you have to have a really nice, even balance between exercise and rest and recovery. And you see the chart on the bottom right there, it shows you two different cyclists. Cyclist A takes appropriate and in terms of frequency, in terms of training and recovery days. It's a nice balance. So you see the peaks are the training days, and then you recover during the troughs. That's the recovery phase, and then the body grows back stronger, whether it's cardiovascular endurance or strength. And then if you see the blue line there, cyclist B, where cyclist B doesn't take any rest or recovery days, and basically leads down to this deeper and deeper hole, this overtraining state where it takes much longer to bounce back to a stronger fitness level of fitness. So the preferred, the key takeaway here is the preferred method is cyclist A, where you're taking adequate and balanced rest days with your training days. How do you monitor and measure your rest and recovery? Well, first and foremost, sleep is the most important item. Ensure you're getting 7 to 9 hours of sleep per night. It should be broken down into light sleep, deep sleep, and REM sleep. Light sleep is a majority of your sleep, believe it or not. It should be 50 to 60%. Deep sleep should be 10 to 25%. And REM sleep, that's the dream state sleep, will be 20 to 25%. Your respiratory rate should be 13 to 18 breaths per minute. Now you're probably wondering, how do you gather this information? There's a lot of smartphone apps on your phone, or there are a lot of advanced fitness watches these days that can kind of break down your sleep on a nightly basis, so you ensure that you're getting enough volume and that the percentage of light, deep, REM sleep are in appropriate levels. If you see any changes, it may be due to dietary differences. So a good way to do this is to keep a log or a journal. The day before your sleep night, think about what you ate that day, basically beverages, consumption. For example, did you have alcohol? That may affect your quality of sleep. You might be getting less deep sleep and more light sleep. If you consumed alcohol the day before, if you had a lot of caffeine, that may affect your sleep. Different vitamins like magnesium and other items you're putting into your body all can and may impact the quality of sleep that you're getting. So when you keep a journal, you can kind of monitor and make adjustments to improve your quality of sleep. Resting heart rate, that's one of the biggest triggers that will tell you when maybe it's time to take some rest. An elevated resting heart rate indicates your body's undergoing some type of stress. It's the best time to take your resting heart rate is first thing in the morning, right when you wake up, before you get out of bed. You should basically have a baseline. You should know what your average resting heart rate is. It shouldn't differ from a few beats per minute. However, if you do notice that your resting heart rate is higher than usual, perhaps 10% or more, then you know it's probably time to take a break, focus on that rest and recovery before you start exercising again. A nice factor kind of shows you how fit you are, and to see your progress in terms of your fitness levels, is to monitor your heart rate recovery. And this is a little difficult to do as well unless you have a smart watch. But basically, heart rate recovery is the amount of beats your heart is lowered by in the first minute post-exercise. So basically, you're going for a jog or a run. As soon as you stop, look at your heart rate, and then keep a stopwatch or watch the clock and determine the difference between your starting resting heart rate and your ending resting heart rate within 1 minute time span. If your heart rate drops by 30 beats or more, that's excellent. Good, 20 to 29 beats per more, and for poor would be 19 beats or less per minute. So for example, if you're running, your heart rate, you stop, your heart rate's 160. If it drops down to 130 within a minute's time, that's excellent. So that just kind of gives you an example. And then heart rate variability, this is a little bit more advanced. And again, it requires a smartwatch or a sophisticated phone application. It basically measures your autonomic nervous system. It measures the variance in time between heartbeats. And basically, just to break it down, it essentially tells you that a high heart rate variability is optimal. It means the body is balanced. So believe it or not, you actually want a lot of variability in your heart rate. It means your body's able to adjust quickly. If your body's HRV is lower and it's more consistent, that kind of means your body's struggling to adapt. So just a key takeaway, high HRV is good, and a lower HRV is not preferred. But everyone's different, so your baseline HRV may be different than your friends or your family members. So important to understand that baseline average, just like your baseline resting heart rate average, before you can really draw any conclusions. And this is just a nice little chart that shows you what typical resting heart rate is depending on your age. So as we're younger, we have lower resting heart rates than someone who's older. And if you're more fit, you're going to have a lower resting heart rate than someone who is out of shape. Also, men and women differ, and as well as children. So if you're curious about your resting heart rate, as I mentioned, the best time to take it is in the morning, right when you wake up. But you can take it any time of the day, and it really, this chart gives you a breakdown of what a nice or preferred resting heart rate is depending on your gender and age. There are also qualitative measures you can take to kind of measure and monitor your rest and recovery. In terms of your workouts, the rating of perceived exertion. Basically, it's more subjective in nature, and I would say it's your scale of 1 to 10 on how difficult a workout is. So say you go for a 3-mile jog or run 3 days a week, right? Monday, feeling great, 3 miles done, finished. You could have gone much further. Wednesday, you did the 3 miles, but it was a little bit more difficult. So the first day, your RPE might have been 5. Wednesday was a little more difficult. Your RPE maybe 7. And then on Friday, you go for that 3 miles and you barely finished. Well, then your RPE is probably a 9 or 10. And really, when you're running 3 days a week, your RPE shouldn't vary that much. But if you notice that your usual run or it doesn't always have to be running. Say you're lifting weights and you usually can put up 200 plus pounds squatting, for example, and you find, today you can only do 3 reps at 200 pounds, and usually you can do 5 or more, then it's probably time to give your body some rest because your RPE is going to be higher as a result of you struggling to get that rep range that you usually do quite easily. And so in terms of performance indicators, it's different items, like your pace, your load, your reps, your heart rate. Oh, same kind of thing. Say you're cycling or doing the Stairmaster. And usually your normal workout, your heart rate is 165 beats per minute. But then you notice your heart rate starts creeping up. It's getting to the 170s. Your normal workout, you're normally at 165, but now it's in the 170s. That probably means that your body is not fully recovered and that you should take some rest. And then also your mental state, your frame of mind. How's your mood, your motivation, and your concentration? I know for me personally, when I have kind of weeks of a very high volume of training, I kind of I lose my motivation. I don't want to work out anymore. And I just do it just to get it done. Oh, that's not really healthy for your mental state. If you find yourself in that situation, try taking a break, doing some cross training, meditating, yoga, stretching. Those are all very beneficial to your body. Those are active recovery items. So you don't necessarily have to just rest and do nothing and watch TV all day, but there's proactive measures you can take to improve or to speed up your body's recovery, your physical and mental recovery. And the state of your body. If you're having muscle soreness, illness, if you're getting sick more frequently, this is a big sign of not taking enough rest. If you're catching colds more frequently, if you're finding yourself injured more often, if your recovery times are taking longer than usual, if your sleep is poor, these are all signs that it's time to rest, let your body rest and recover. So, just keep these. This is probably one of my favorite slides in the presentation because I think a lot of times we just have tunnel vision and we're not really noticing what's going on with our body, and we don't realize that our workouts are improving, but we're hitting plateaus because our body's not fully recovered. It really needs to recover, take some time, take a break, and then bounce back, and you will come back stronger. Signs of overtraining. So these are traditional signs, kind of talked about most of them already, but a loss of performance, excessive soreness, trouble sleeping. When you're overtrained, usually you'll have a spike in cortisol, which is the stress hormone, and that really impacts your quality of sleep. You might be wide awake at 1 a.m., 2 a.m., 3 a.m. because your cortisol levels are high. Loss of appetite, mood swings and irritability, frequent illness, elevated resting heart rate, depression or lack of motivation, memory problems, poor concentration, increased aches, pains, lingering injuries. All signs that you are overtraining. So this chart here is the training response, increasing intensity, duration, and frequency of training. As we discussed in the physical fitness piece of the Fit to Fight series of program, this is Fit to Fight series of topics. In order to see progress, you need to either increase the intensity, duration, or frequency of your training. So if you're under training, if you're not doing that, what you want is this sweet spot, which is the acute overload kind of area where you're balancing the amount of training you're getting with your rest and recovery, and your body is continuously improving. When you get to the overreaching stage, that's kind of like a warning sign. You might see some of these symptoms, these 1 to 10, maybe a hand, 1, 2, or 3 of these symptoms that are slowly becoming evident. And then when you get to the overtraining phase, that's probably when you have 5 or more of these symptoms that are quite severe. What are the solutions? If you find yourself overreaching or overtraining, incorporating rest days, passive rest days, and more active rest days. Alternating easy and hard training weeks. It's a periodization where you have 3 weeks of very high volume, and then you take a recovery week, you cut back. If you're running 20 miles a week or you're running 30 miles a week, then every 3 weeks, you're going to take a week where you're only doing 30 to 40% of your usual weekly volume. And also alternating easy and hard workouts. You can't work out hard every day. You want to alternate easy workouts and hard workouts. Make sure you're eating enough calories. Maybe one of your goals is to lose weight, but there's a difference between doing it in a healthy way and doing it in a very unhealthy way. You have to provide your body with nutrition. You have to provide your body with nutrition, especially if you're working out. Your body needs calories to recover and rebuild itself. You will still lose weight, but you're doing it in a healthy manner. Decrease your use of caffeine and stimulants. Those are very highly correlated with increased cortisol levels, which are, as I mentioned, the stress hormone in your body. Schedule active recovery days into your training plan. Increase your protein intake, the building block of muscle. Sleep more and make sure your quality of sleep is high. Make sure you're eating enough carbohydrates. Carbohydrates get a bad rap, but really they're not bad at all. They're very beneficial, especially if you're working out a lot. It's good to time your carbohydrate intake around your workouts, especially post-workout. Post-workout, ensure you're consuming enough carbohydrates. You need to replace that glycogen and that glucose that you're burning. Practice yoga and meditation. Avoid excessive alcohol. It's really detrimental to your fitness and performance goals. There are some recovery tools out there. Foam rollers are great for relieving muscle soreness. There are a lot of vibrating massagers like Theragun. Epsom salts contain magnesium, which is helpful for your body recovery. Ice baths and compression are also 2 tools that are really beneficial for speeding up muscle recovery and soreness, alleviating soreness. Post-workout nutrition, as I mentioned, very important to refuel, rebuild, and rehydrate your body. Well, post-workout, you want to consume mostly carbohydrates, 80% carbohydrates, and 20% protein. Carbohydrates, post-workout, you want them to be high glycemic. So we talked about the glycemic index on our nutrition presentation. High glycemic basically means high sugar content. It's basically the only time where it's beneficial to consume sugary foods like fruit, sports drinks, a lot of like white breads and bagels and things like that, which have high glycemic index. You want to consume carbohydrates less than 30 minutes post-workout, but 30 to 60 minutes post-workout, it's okay. And then you want a little protein as well. So for example, chocolate milk actually has a great ratio of carbs to protein. Eggs and toast, peanut butter and banana. So just take some examples on the left there. And then you want to replenish your lost fluids. You should drink 16 ounces of water for each pound of sweat you lose. It's a nice idea to weigh yourself before your workout and after your workout and see the difference in your weight. If you're doing a very heavy session with a lot of sweat, you'd be surprised at how many pounds you're losing after the workout. It's not real weight loss. It's mostly just water content. So it's important to replace those lost fluids. So drink 16 ounces of water for each pound of sweat you lose. I've gone on runs where, in the summertime especially, where I've lost 8 pounds over the course of an hour and a half to 2 hour run. And then lost electrolytes as well. Make sure you're consuming enough sodium, potassium. You want 500 to 700 milligrams of sodium for each pound of sweat loss as well. Coconut water is a great source of electrolytes, or there are a lot of electrolyte tablets you can take these days as well. Sleep tips. Most of us want to improve our sleep. Have a set schedule. Go to bed at the same time every night and wake up the same time every morning, even on the weekends. Take a warm shower. Helps relax your body and mind. Eliminate blue light exposure. iPads, iPhones, computers, not just Apple products, but any time of computer or technology related items, the television as well. Reduce your caffeine consumption, especially after 2 p.m. Do not exercise before bed. A lot of times, you might not have the choice depending on your schedule, but if you exercise close to bedtime, your heart rate is going to remain elevated. It'll be hard for you to fall asleep. Optimize your bedroom environment. Make sure it's dark. Sometimes blackout curtains can help. Really make sure your bedroom's dark. You set the temperature a little cooler than normal, like 67, 68 degrees will help you sleep better. Don't eat too late or too much. Avoid alcohol. Try essential oils that are calming, like lavender or chamomile. And then you can try supplements as a last resort. Well, magnesium should be a large part of your diet. That's very important. And a lot of us are deficient in magnesium. But melatonin, I would avoid if necessary, just because there's some side effects, drowsiness. L-theanine is just a kind of a relaxing agent as well. But if possible, try these other items first before you take any supplements. You can also try valerian root, but certainly try natural remedies before prescription products. Additional supplements as it relates to recovery and specifically muscle recovery and soreness. L-glutamine is great. It helps boost your immune system as well. Magnesium, as I mentioned, is great. It helps promote muscle contraction, relaxation, and protein synthesis. It prevents the buildup of lactic acid. Turmeric is a very powerful antioxidant and anti-inflammatory. Studies have shown that it's just as powerful as ibuprofen. It reduces muscle soreness and joint pain. And since I started taking turmeric, I really have no knee pain at all. It's really been wonderful for me personally. Tart cherry juice, I really like this product too. It reduces oxidative stress and it also promotes the production of melatonin. So it's good for sleep as well. And ashwagandha, it lowers cortisol, which is your stress hormones. It helps with anxiety, depression, and mood. As you know by now, it's been founded many times, but if you haven't already joined the Strava Fitness Club, please join the club and help inspire a wingman and be inspired by a wingman. Well, thank you very much for participating today. And I just want to say that if your squadron or is interested in any of the Wellness 52 topics or programs that we've discussed over the course of the last year, please reach out to me and we can coordinate a time for an in-person presentation at your squadron on any of the topics that I've discussed during the course of the year. Be happy to come by and do this in person, which might be a little bit more engaging. And I can also provide some handout materials as well. Thank you very much and have a wonderful rest of the month. Happy Halloween. Good luck. I know fitness testing is starting or has started. So good luck to everyone on their fitness tests. Any help or training advice, please reach out to me. And again, see you next time. Thank you very much.